Today we're reacting to The Truth About the Bell Curve by Thomas Sowell. I'm in a different spot today. I'm in the hospital with my woman. We have our second child. I'm very happy because it's a very important time and day for me, for my family. So I'm very grateful for that. But we need to go to work. So today I'm reacting to The Truth About the Bell Curve, Thomas Sowell.
The vitriolic controversy developing around the bell curve by Richard Herrnstein and Charles Murray has raised again questions about mental tests and their meaning. One of the charges made is that the tests are themselves unfair. But, long before the present controversy, someone replied to similar charges by pointing out, the tests are not unfair, life is unfair, and tests measure the results. The same could be said of the charge that tests are culturally biased. Life is culturally biased. We live twice as long as people in some of the poorer parts of the world, not because we are more deserving, individually smarter, or otherwise more meritorious, but simply because we have the dumb luck to be born into a culture which produces cures and preventions for deadly diseases that have ravaged the human race for centuries.
Okay, I see where you're going.
The cultural features which advance medical science have by no means been universal. Indeed, they have been fairly recent, as history is measured, even in the civilizations where they now exist. Any test which tests for those kinds of features must be culturally biased. Indeed, should be culturally biased.
Oh, okay.
There may well have been individuals born into ignorant and primitive backwaters of the world who had brain cells fully as well functioning as those of Pasteur, Salk, or other medical pioneers, but who never developed the same capabilities and never left a trace of their existence to benefit the rest of mankind. If tested by our culturally biased tests, those individuals would undoubtedly have scored low.
So you're saying that those people that were very smart, if they were tested, they will fail. Why? Cultural bias. Signifying what?
And should have, if our purpose was the practical one of picking people actually able to do the kinds of things that needed doing in medical science. What would have happened under other cultural circumstances is a cosmic question, a question for God, perhaps, but not for intellectuals who act as if they are God.
Something that I noticed about Thomas Sowell is that he really despises intellectuals. He really do. He really sees them as, people with high egos that contribute nothing to society. You might argue whether that's true or not. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone deeply into know how far true is that. I mean, there's some components that indicate that could be the case, and just simply go to any university in the United States, you will see some of that stuff where you have people just teaching some materials, but some classes and some courses, but they never tried their own thing that they even they're even teaching. So,
as limited human beings, we must make our choices among the alternatives actually available. A culture-free society has never been one of those alternatives. Any test designed to predict future performances in any field or in any society is trying to predict what will happen in a given cultural context. There is nothing inherently sinister about this.
oh, I see.
These are the conditions we face, or should
I
face.
see.
Few things are discussed as unintelligently as intelligence. Seldom do those who talk or shout about this subject bother to define their terms.
Okay.
Is intelligence the abstract potentiality that exists at the moment of conception?
Maybe.
The developed capabilities with which the same individual faces the world 2 decades later? In between, all sorts of things have happened, and happened differently for different individuals and groups. An alcoholic or drug-addicted mother begins damaging her child even before birth.
Good point.
Her irresponsibility, brutality, or stupidity is almost certain to do more damage to the child in the years that follow. What good would it do us to know that child's innate potential at the moment of conception?
Hmm.
It certainly would not enable us to predict what is likely to happen now that he is what he is.
Well, if we're looking for a prediction, that might be a question of if you have masses, right? I guess you get masses and you have percentage of those masses to succeed. That's a prediction, right? Let's say if you have a certain amount of certain people in the world that are containing to that 1%, right? We call it the 1% because we have a prediction of how economy can function into a certain way. So therefore, people that does certain things can get to the 1%, right? That's a prediction. It's not a guarantee, but it's a prediction.
Suppose that we had such a miraculous test and discovered that we started out with an Einstein and ended up with an idiot. Would that mean that the test was unfair because it showed that he was an idiot?
Huh.
Or would it mean that life itself was tragically unfair, not only to him, but to the whole society that now has to contend with him as he is?
Huh.
Maybe such a test would have some social value as a means of shocking us into a realization of what enormities result from subsidizing teenage pregnancy, for example.
Okay, I see
Yes,
where you're
it would
going.
be hard on all concerned, including the public, to deny welfare to the teenager. But would it be worse than what happens because we cannot bring ourselves to deny it?
That is a good point. And I've said this before. I think welfare is a killer in the United States or any Western world. And I think it sounds harsh, but taking welfare out of a lot of these situations, it might be hard in the moment, but at the end, it might be, the best solution for society.
Such questions could at least be asked if we had the kind
Yeah.
of miraculous test hoped for by some. But there is no sign that we are even close to developing such a test. The much vexed question of heredity versus environment, and of possible intergroup differences in inherited potential, are better able to produce heated controversies than enlightened reasoning. Does anyone seriously doubt that heredity plays some role in some differences,
Hmm.
or that it is seldom the whole story? The bell curve itself says, it should be no surprise to see, as one does every day, blacks functioning at high levels in every intellectually challenging field. But that did not stop the shouts of those who are in the business of shouting. Anyone who
Wow.
actually reads the book, which may not include all of its critics, will discover that race is not even considered in the first 12 chapters.
Interesting.
That is hardly what the book is about, though that is what the noise is about.
Interesting.
My own view as a former teacher is that most American students, of whatever background, are operating so far below their capacity that the limits of that capacity is an academic question.
That is so interesting. Oh, it's interesting. These people are protesting about a book that doesn't even mention race in the first 12 chapters. It just shows you that it's not about facts or truth. It's just about, the little, words that have a lot of weight in it. Ah, interesting. Hmm. I didn't know that the bell curve was this controversial. This is crazy. I mean, why tests are so controversial? I don't get it. It just gives us at least something, some kind of information. I just don't get it. There's gonna be some certain textures that are gonna be more in the 70%, others 80, and others 60. But at least we got some kind of data, right? I'm just saying. I don't want to go into a deeper rabbit hole. Can someone explain me really where the bell curve can be applied, not in tests in university, but like in societies where we can get some data and results based on studying tests? I'm gonna really appreciate that.